Welcome back to the Something in the Wilderness podcast. Today is a bonus episode. We won't be talking specifically about one song, but we're talking about the Dear Jack Foundation 11/11 live show. Today I have a special guest, in fact, a really special guest here with me, my daughter Jay.
Hi, y'all.
So today my daughter Jay's on the podcast because it was her and her sister's first concert. Besides, you guys went to Kids Bop, right?
Well, yeah, but that was like a mini concert.
Yeah, so
at a little festival.
This was our first official concert together, which was pretty cool. That it was Andrew McMahon, and it was the 11/11 show. Jay, do you know what's important about the 11/11 show every year?
They support young adults with cancer with the money that they raise.
That's right. And do you remember the really important thing that happened at the end of the concert, the announcement that Andrew made?
They reached their goal, and they made more than $1,000.
Yep.
More than their goal.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. We're going to talk about the concert, kind of leading up to all the fun details and everything, and we're going to get a fresh perspective on going to an Andrew concert with what I like to refer to as the next generation of Andrew McMahon fans. What do you think, Jay?
Yep.
Back a few months ago, we ordered tickets, but we didn't tell the kids right away that we were getting tickets to the concert. And so it was just about a month ago, probably in mid-October, that we revealed to them that we'd be going to see Andrew McMahon in concert, and that it was going to be in Chicago. Jay, what were you most excited about seeing in Chicago?
I was really excited to see what the House of Blues looked like because I know a lot of concerts are held there.
Oh, definitely. So, and we got to see that, didn't we?
Mm-hmm. And I've never really been in a big city before other than Columbus.
Yep, that is true. You were pretty excited about going to Chicago in general. How about the concert itself? Was there like a specific song that you know by Andrew that you wanted to hear in concert?
I definitely wanted to hear Fire Escape and Cecilia and the Satellite because those are two of my favorite songs by him.
What is it that you like about those songs in particular?
Well, Cecilia is his daughter, kind of like I'm my dad's daughter, but I also really like Fire Escape because it has some really fun lyrics instead of just like really emotional. And I really like the chorus, of course.
Yeah, the chorus is really singable, and it kind of makes you want to get up and move, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What was the fun activity that we did in Chicago on the day of 11/11 earlier before the concert?
We did a Dear Jack scavenger hunt with some of our other Andrew McMahon fans and friends.
And we got to see some pretty cool places in the city, didn't we?
Yep.
Do you remember some of the places that we stopped by?
We stopped by the Chicago Bean, which is a huge metal statue that kind of looks like a bean. It's also called the Cloud Gate, which is the official name for it.
Yeah, that was definitely my favorite stop. So that's, if you've ever seen in pictures, the big sculpture or piece of art. But it's this huge thing in Chicago in a park, and you walk up to it, and it's a mirror. It's just a huge mirror.
When we were standing under it, we took a picture, and we could see ourselves in 5 different places.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So if you ever get to Cloud Gate in Chicago, you should go underneath it all the way and look up. But it's obviously some really good photo opportunities, and there was a lot of people there.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what else we saw in that park? Was there anything else that you remember?
There is also a big plaza where concerts are held outside. So we got to see that. We couldn't go into it because you can only go in when there's going to be a concert because it was all roped off. But it was really cool. I think I would like to see a concert there. I think that would be really cool.
I agree. And what Dear Jack does every year for the scavenger hunt is any city that they have this event in, they create a scavenger hunt so that you get to experience basically some of the most famous spots in the city. And so that's what it allowed us to do. I've been to Chicago before a long time ago. Jay's never been there, and her sister had never been either. So they were seeing it with fresh eyes. I've been there, but I didn't see a lot of the spots that we were able to see on the scavenger hunt. Do you remember when we found the Nutella shop?
Yeah, the Nutella hot chocolate was so good. It was extra creamy too.
Yeah. And then we found a bookstore. Mm-hmm. Remember, that was one of the stops on the Dear Jack scavenger hunt. So what did we have to do when we got to the bookstore? What was our mission?
We had to look for the 3 Pianos book by Andrew McMahon, and we had to find a note in there that said something that we had to enter into the phone to get our points.
And so that was pretty fun. That was we had a tip from some other fans that were just coming out because they said it was really hard to find, and it really was. It was not easy to find.
There's like 3 different rooms of the bookstore. Since we've never been there before and it's like a local bookstore, we didn't know like what they were organized into. And I bet they suspected like that most people wouldn't, because most people that were doing that were tourists coming in for the Andrew McMahon concert. So they wouldn't know where the bookstore was or like any of the other places. So that was like the challenge part of it, because you had to figure out all those things.
What were the clues? So how did we know where to find these places?
The clues were all song lyrics that you had to fill in. And for example, Ohio, blank lines and capitals go rushing by, and then it said the song name, Ohio. And so like we knew that it was state lines and capitals, and then we have to go to somewhere once we figured that out. So like it gave us a clue, and then we filled in the word state to figure out where it was taking us.
And so I think it was Centennial Park or somewhere around there that we went to, and there was a structure we had to find. It was a statue of Abraham Lincoln, if I remember correctly. But we went to a coffee shop. I mentioned the bookstore. Do you remember the Lions?
Yeah, that was really cool. It was in front of the Chicago Public Library.
And remember what the clue was to get us there?
It was from Fire Escape, which is one of my favorite songs, as I mentioned earlier. It's the Bankers in the Lion Den. So once you click on the clue, then you see like the paragraph which describes it, and then you fill in the word lion, because that was where the blank was, into the next blank, and then you know where it is.
Yeah, and we only had to pay $10 per person to play, and you'd get the app and the program downloaded to your app if you paid. And of course, all that money went to the Dear Jack Foundation. So it was basically a donation, which we would have done anyway, and we got to play a game along with other friends and fans, like we said.
Plus, we got a prize at the end for completing it. We got little pins that were from like a concert. It said like 2022 on it, and then it said like Andrew McMahon, and then the name of the concert.
Earlier, before the concert started and after the scavenger hunt was over, we walked over to the House of Blues because we just kind of wanted to check out the lobby and see what was going on. It was about 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon. And Jay, what was really kind of special about what happened when we walked into the lobby?
When we walked in, we heard music, and we thought that they might just be playing Andrew McMahon music over the speakers. But then, as we went closer to the staircase, which was, of course, blocked off, we realized that he was actually practicing before the real sound check. He was doing his own sound check before the real sound check that other people were actually going to go and see. So it was like we got our own little sound check, but we didn't get to see him. So all the band members were also with him on stage, and they were doing like the full song. I think we got to hear skywriting at some point.
Yeah, we did hear skywriting. I remember that one most because that was the first time I had heard it live. So that was really unexpected and cool. I was surprised they let us in, but I think it's because it's a restaurant as well. What I just found ironic is that there were people, and I felt badly for them, there were people waiting outside on the side of the building in the freezing cold weather. And here we are just standing inside just because we wanted to see the lobby, and we were able to listen to the sound check. There was a few panicked Andrew fans, one of which I knew, and they were worried they missed their sound check because they had tickets to attend the sound check, and they thought they were missing it. But they were relieved to find that no, Andrew and the band were just doing their own sound check to get ready for the sound check for the fans that had tickets. So we got to hear a couple of songs. Then we politely made our way out of there. We didn't want to stay, overstay our welcome, I guess. So we didn't get to see the band or anything. But like Jay said, we were listening, and it was just clear as day out in the lobby. So it was really cool. We took some pictures. Like, remember we took a picture of you standing in front of the House of Blues sign. Mm-hmm. And then there was a sign that said Andrew McMahon tonight on it, and we took a sign there. So it was a much different feeling in the lobby than it was when we got there a couple hours later, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. And if you've ever been to the House of Blues, or if you want to go, even if you don't go to the concert, you can still look around at what the House of Blues has to offer, because it's really beautiful in there. There's colorful statues, and there's even a bench made out of bottle caps and scraps of wood. Mm-hmm. And it's really cool. My sister and I took a picture on there. Yeah,
there's a little shop and there's a restaurant. So what I might recommend checking out is, I don't know anything about the food options or anything like that or how good it is, but I might recommend going to the restaurant just before the concert starts, because it seems like, if I'm not mistaken, there was an advantage to sitting in the restaurant before the concert started because I think possibly, and I may be wrong, those people got in before those of us waiting in line. So the next thing we did after we went back to the hotel about a block away, we went back to our hotel to chill for like an hour, hour and a half, and then we went and got in line about 6:15. And do you remember how long we were standing in line or sitting in line?
Yeah, probably about 30 to 45 minutes.
Oh,
and then
it was longer than that.
It was?
Yeah, it was over an hour because they didn't actually let us in till like after 7:30.
I was watching YouTube videos on his phone, so I didn't really realize the time passage because, YouTube.
Well, I get it. Yeah, so you didn't realize how much time had gone by, but it was really cold, and the House of Blues was holding the line while all the VIP people were able to go in. Like I said, I think the people who ate in the restaurant, and then other, not necessarily, quote, VIP people that paid for the seats, but the very important people who were invited for the Foundation concert, of course, got to go in. I understand that. Mm-hmm. So there was a lot of people going in, but they had to hold the line for the rest of us while they let everyone else in. So that was a little hard because it was so cold outside. So I think it really wore us out as we stayed out there for a while. But once we got in, things got better and we were back on track. So Jay, where did we stand when we walked up to view the concert?
There are some seats for like people that had paid a lot of money to reserve seats, and we were standing right behind like the first row of them.
And that was just above the main floor, right? So there was the main floor and then a step up, and there were people sitting that could kind of see over their heads. As adults, we could see over the people sitting's heads, but it was harder for you, right? Mm-hmm. It was a little bit harder for the kids to see, so my wife had to pick my little one up. I tried to pick Jay up, but she's a little older, so it was kind of hard to have her on my back, so I didn't last very long on that.
You're like only a head taller than me now.
Yeah, so I'm sorry I couldn't keep you on my back. I didn't want to do the, I've seen people put kids on their shoulders at concerts. But
but then nobody else would be able to see.
Exactly. Then no one else behind you would be able to see, so I didn't think that was the right thing to do. Mm-hmm. So my goal was to kind of get you on my back so your head was resting on my shoulder and it wouldn't block anyone's view. But that didn't work for very long. Maybe...
Yeah, I kind of just fell.
3/4 of a song, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Not even a full song.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the actual concert. A couple weeks before the concert, they announced the opener. His name was William Beckett. And I know you didn't know any of his music, so that may have been a little harder for you to get into. I actually never knew who William Beckett was before then either. On our way there, we did listen to a few of his songs. So William Beckett was the lead singer of a band called The Academy Is back in the mid-2000s. For some reason, I completely missed that band, and I completely missed that artist. And so when I checked out their music and the solo stuff from William Beckett, I actually really enjoyed it. And it led me to wonder what he's been up to for the past decade, because he hasn't released any solo material officially in almost a decade. So I'm actually hoping to hear more from him. Did you have any thoughts on seeing him live?
He had a really good voice, especially being a soloist, and there also wasn't a lot of instrumental, so you could hear his voice, like, it wasn't like the typical, like, pop stuff that you hear, but more, like, slow, like, more emotional music.
Oh, I agree. He had just an acoustic guitar, and he did have some technical issues. Do you remember that? Uh-huh. And I felt really bad for him, because anytime you have an artist on stage and they're having technical issues, I feel bad for them. But he got through it. He made the best of it. I think he had fun. I think he had fun with the crowd. The crowd had fun with him. That was pretty cool to see him just kind of roll with it. He did a Death Cab for Cutie cover. He did some Academy Is songs, and he did some of his own solo stuff. Now, I think the highlight for me was, do you remember when Andrew McMahon came out and sang with him?
Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. I wasn't even expecting that.
No, it was pretty unexpected because usually at a concert, they don't come out for the opener like that. But they're really good friends. Andrew and William are really good friends. So he was out to kind of just have fun with his friend. Mm-hmm. And I always like to see that in concert. We didn't have to wait very long after William for Andrew to come out, Andrew and the band to come out. They did show some slides promoting the Dear Jack Foundation and were encouraging people to donate. People could bid, and whoever bid the most would be able to go on stage for La La La. So we'll come back to that a little bit later, because that was at the end of the show, of course. The show opened with Crashin' from The Glass Passenger, Jack's Mannequin album. That was pretty cool because, Jay, I don't know if you know that song.
No, but I heard it at the concert. It was really nice.
Yeah. I didn't put that on the playlist for you and your sister to listen to. You know why I didn't?
Why?
Because I had no idea he was going to play that one. It was a surprise. Usually I can kind of predict a good portion of the set list after seeing him so many times and all the set lists that I pay attention to. But I like that Andrew throws some curveballs in there. I understand that he's got to play, quote unquote, the hits. He's got to play the new songs, which is great. I love both the new songs and the hits. But I also like that he throws in some songs that he hasn't played in a while. So my wife and I saw Andrew twice over the summer, and I would say there was a good portion of the songs that were different over the summer from what he played here on this night. So that was pretty cool. He played She Paints Me Blue, and the third song, Jay, do you want to talk about the third song that he played?
Yeah, so the third song that he played was Fire Escape, which, again, was one of my favorite songs. He was, like, really upbeat with it, and he was, like, kind of dancing around while doing it. So it was, like, a really upbeat song altogether, and it wasn't just, like, him sitting at the piano. It was more like he, like, really didn't, like, just stay in one place. He, like, got all the crowd, like, riled up for, like, the rest of the concert, and, like, it was a really good, like, one of the first songs.
Were you surprised when he, like, got up on the piano?
Yeah, I didn't expect that to be, like, one of the first things that he did. I thought it would be more, like, towards the end.
Yeah.
To, like, conclude the concert.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not expecting it when he, like, jumped up on the piano. And, like, it was, like, really cool to watch him do that because I've only seen it in my dad's videos. So I've never actually, like, seen that live because I've never been to one of his concerts.
When I first heard that song on the album many years ago, admittedly, it wasn't one of my favorites, but it really came to life for me when I heard that in concert. And so even though Andrew McMahon has played it every time I've seen him in the last 5 years, which has been quite a few, I still love it every single time. So I'm really glad that you enjoyed it too. The next song he played was the mixtape. Now that's the one where he stood on the piano. So he stepped up on the keys, which, yeah, it always surprises me. I'm like, oh, don't hurt those piano keys, Andrew. Don't break your piano.
I'm not even allowed to, like, bang on our piano keys because it's so new.
Right. You and your sister both play, and we always tell you, you know, be so careful with the piano. And then here you are watching Andrew on stage jump on his piano.
I'm like, maybe I should try jumping on the piano.
Maybe not.
I'm pretty sure he has a more high quality one though.
Yeah, well, he does. It's much. The thing is, it's much sturdier. You know, the top is made of solid wood, and he can dance across it, and you know, it's not gonna break.
Yeah,
a little bit different. But I was just looking at the set list, and there was skywriting. That it was the first time they've ever played in concert, so he kind of gave a big introduction of that song. And just like Fire Escape 5 years ago, the live version of Skywriting, for me, that really brought that song to life. I mean, I liked it originally when I heard it on the single when it came out a couple weeks ago, but I really liked it more when it was brought to life in concert. Then there was High Dive, which is one of my recent favorites. Like, for whatever reason, again, as much as I hear High Dive in concert lately, it just keeps getting better and better for me. And I realized, Jay, that's the song I tried to pick you up during, because Mikey, who's normally the bassist, he also has a keyboard in front of him, and he has like a stick and he hits it during High Dive, and I always remember that about High Dive. And that's what was happening when I picked you up, and then I dropped you.
Well, I more like slid down your back.
Yeah, it wasn't like a violent drop or anything, but
yeah, I didn't like fall on my butt. I just kind of like slid down and landed on my feet.
Yeah, I think the people around us wondered what was going on, but you know, we were just trying to enjoy the concert without with minimal distraction to everybody else. That's always my goal.
That didn't really.
Yeah, I tried my best. So they played Swim by Jack's Mannequin, and then Island Radio. Island Radio has become like this celebratory song in concert for Andrew McMahon and the Wilderness fans, because it's this time when Andrew does probably the most talked about thing that he does besides playing piano at his concerts. What did he do during Island Radio?
So he gets up on this huge llama with fake plastic like flowers and stuff. So it's like a party llama that you would see at like a birthday party or something, like on all the decorations.
Or it looks like it'd be at someone's pool or something, right?
Yeah, so it's like a pool floaty, but with like no hole in it. So it's like all covered so he doesn't fall through. And like the crowd just carries him, and that happens for like the whole song, and then he goes back like towards the end of the song, and he kind of like talks to the crowd during Island Radio, like while he's on there, he's like talking to the crowd like during the breaks. Basically, from what I've seen from the videos of Andrew McMahon at concert, I've seen that he does like crowd diving a lot and like crowd surfing. So I feel like that's kind of like his thing, like the piano, like the standing on the piano and like the crowd surfing. Like I feel like that happens at most of his concerts. So
Yeah, crowd surfing was much more of a thing 20 years ago when Andrew first kind of came onto the music scene. So it was a very popular thing to do. And he's one of the few artists that, at least that I go see, that are kind of carrying the torch for that whole crowd surfing bit. And I think riding the llama has just made it or duck or whatever blow up, animal
yeah,
that
it's
he
like a
happens to
llama,
have.
like an alpaca or something.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it was an alpaca. That's right.
Yeah, maybe.
But he's ridden a duck before too. It's just been an interesting part of the live show that I think people really look forward to and talk about, and people like to take videos of. And it's a way for him to get out in the crowd and interact up close with a lot of fans, which I know just brings this connection that, you don't always get at concerts. So we really love that. We really love when he does that. So the next song we're not going to go through every single song in the set list, by the way, but I do want to mention the next song, I'm Ready, because we recently had an episode about that song, and Marissa, my guest, and I spoke about something in this song that is, I guess, kind of unique about Andrew McMahon songs, and that he kind of talks in the middle of it. And the bridge, every Andrew McMahon fan knows that part of I'm Ready. But he doesn't always do that part in concert, is something that we talked about in the episode. So if you want to hear what we had to say about that, I'd recommend that you go back and listen to my episode with Marissa a few months back. So he did do that part this time. And Jay, I don't know if you remember, I have a T-shirt that's handwritten where it has a quote from one of Andrew's songs on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that quote is from that song. But he said it really he sang it differently than he normally does. So I thought it was kind of a unique way, and I like that he did a little bit differently this time. So I was excited to go back and watch that part of the live stream and kind of see, focus more on how he did that, because he didn't just say it like he does on the album. And I've seen him do that in more intimate settings, like just with a piano as well. But I just felt like he did it slightly differently. The next song is where Jay and her sister had to go sit down for a while because it just they were standing for far too long, right?
Yeah, so we went into the back hallway where the bathrooms were, and there was like weird bathroom situations because the women's one was like right there when you walk in, but then you had to walk down like a really long hallway to find the men's. So there was like 7 men that walked into like the restroom while we were out there.
The women's restroom?
Yeah, because
they didn't know where the men's was?
There wasn't like a sign outside. Like once you walked into the women's restroom, then it said woman. And it was confusing because it was like right there. And then the men probably thought that like there was like a hallway once you went in, and like men and then women, like some bathrooms have.
That would make sense.
Yeah, but that's not what it was. And you had to go looking for the men's restroom. And then there was also like the merch shop that went to like the Dear Jack Foundation, also right there.
And what did your mom buy there?
My mom bought it's a gray sweater, and it's really comfy. I just stole it one
And it
time.
says Dear Jack Foundation, like kind of rainbowy letters, right?
Yeah, and then there's like rainbow block letters.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It was a good buy. And then that's where you guys picked up the pins too for our scavenger hunt.
It was a really good buy for me too, because I wear it, so.
Yeah, because you're just about the same size as your mom now, and you can wear her clothes.
It's just like kind of baggy on my arms, but other than that.
Yeah, so I stayed and watched the concert from my present position. We did figure out pretty quickly that if you left your area, there wasn't many places to go. And that's why Jay and her mom and her sister ended up sitting in the back hallway. Fortunately, there were TV screens back there, though, so you could still see.
Mm-hmm.
And you
it
could
was a
hear
pretty good, full view of the concert. It was basically the same view, except from the other side, where you were standing. So we saw him, fall off the screen.
Oh, when he was crowd surfing?
Yeah.
You could hear the concert from there, from the stage, right? You could hear it. You weren't hearing it through the TV. You were actually hearing the actual concert.
Yeah. So, I think the TV was, muted, so it wouldn't be, double. So I think they, muted that so that you would hear, but then you would also, watch it, because you can't see it in the back hallway.
My wife told me it was very difficult to, basically, once you walked away from that spot where we could see the concert, you couldn't see anywhere else in the venue because the bar was so crowded. You couldn't sit next to the stairs just because of, fire code restrictions, I'm sure. The seating upstairs, the balcony situation, there was really no place to stand because they reserve right along the balcony for VIP, of course. And then there's some rooms, like boxes, they call them, if you pay a lot of money. So there was really nowhere to see from unless you were on the main floor or kind of within a few people, if you were tall enough, of that like area just above the main floor. So, or if you again paid for a seat. So they enjoyed the rest of the show from back in the back hallway watching the TV screen. So I enjoyed some other surprises in the set list, like Watch the Sky and Hurricane. And Hurricane was a surprise, even though I saw it twice in concert over the summer. I thought that was just going to be a one tour type of thing, but they played it again. And Jay, do you remember what he did when he played Hurricane?
So he was crowd surfing during that. And from our view on the TV in the back hallway, when he was crowd surfing, he fell. But to us, it looked like he just fell off the TV screen because, like, he just wasn't there anymore.
And actually, from my view, it did look like he fell into the crowd. He kind of did. I think he was caught before he actually hit the cement.
A couple people were, like, holding his legs up, and so he didn't, like, actually hit the ground. But it probably, like, stretched his muscles, like, pretty bad. Like, he probably pulled a muscle or two.
Can you believe that I crowd surfed when I was younger?
No.
It was one of those things I did when I was young, and I don't know that I would do it again because, let's face it, so can you imagine what would happen if the people that were holding his legs held on to him, but the people that were holding his head or neck didn't?
Yeah, that would be pretty scary.
That's pretty much what happened. The people supporting his head and neck and back couldn't hold him up anymore and accidentally, I know they didn't do it on purpose. They dropped him, and I think he ended up being caught by, and in fact, I think he fell on somebody because he apologized on stage afterward about the poor small woman that he fell on. So
yeah, I think like his leg fell on someone when he was falling, and then like someone caught it.
Yeah.
But like he hit someone.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened.
It's hard not to when you're crowd surfing. So if you're going to crowd surf, just be careful out there and be very cognizant of the people below you, right?
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. In addition to all the great songs like The Resolution and Watch the Sky and Hurricane, Dark Blue, of course. You're a fan of Dark Blue, right? Mm-hmm. He also played Stars, which is another new song.
Yeah, it's a really good song. I did like the color by number on the computer for it. I had a lot of fun, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Oh, that's right. I gave you a homework assignment.
Yeah.
And had you decode.
I mean, it wasn't exactly a homework assignment because it was kind of optional.
Yeah, and it was like a color by number thing. It was kind of fun. So.
Yeah, so it was a pretty fun homework assignment.
Yeah. Do you remember when he played Dark Blue, though?
Yeah, it was like, I feel like it was slower than it is in the recording because it was supposed to be like emotional since it was near like the end of the concert, but it was also like very energizing because like it was loud and like energetic and all.
Because like Fire Escape and Cecilia, it's just one of those songs that it's a fan favorite. It's one that everybody who's coming to the concert knows. So it's definitely one that energizes the crowd. I think you're right. If I remember correctly, you weren't really a fan of Constantine, were you?
No, it was just a little long for me. Like, just like Taylor Swift releases a 10-minute version of All Too Well, like, it's just meh.
You prefer the short version of All Too Well?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
'Cause
so
I don't like when songs go on for like a really long time. I just like the short songs where like they're just like up to 4 minutes long and then they're done.
Maybe if Andrew ever recorded like a 4-minute version of Constantine, you might be more into it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen, though.
Probably not.
We end the show before the encore with, again, some pretty big hits, Cecilia and the Satellite and Synesthesia. Do you remember seeing those songs?
I really like the lyrics to Synesthesia where it's like, I see colors, I don't hear the noise. I really like that part because basically the definition of synesthesia, but like more emotional.
I like the pictures that he paints with his lyrics, and I think that's a great example.
I think synesthesia you can definitely like picture with your mind and like really get into.
And then he brought out the parachute, which he used to do at a lot of concerts like 5, 6, 7 years ago, but he stopped doing it for a little while. And so a lot of people, the way they put it was, he brought back the parachute. And they were so some of the fans who go to a lot of shows were really excited. Did you get to see that on the TV screen? Could you see that at all?
For that song, they like went up like where the balconies are.
Mm-hmm.
So we saw like the over the top, like we saw it like looking down on it. So
Mm-hmm.
it looked really cool because you could see like the ripples going through the colors, and it really did look like the picture that you paint in your head when you hear synesthesia.
I heard it gets pretty warm in there if you're underneath it, if you can imagine.
Yeah, like we used to do something like that for music, but we would have like
Oh, in
we
school?
would have like little jingle bells on it or something, and we would try to like create a song with it. It always went like really badly because of course we were only like in second grade, so.
Andrew McMahon and the Wilderness fans are pros with the parachute, so
Yeah.
they know how to do it because they've been doing it for years at these concerts. It's also a pretty unique situation when you have like hundreds of people within that parachute area, either holding it or underneath it or around it. It's quite a unique thing to see in person. So for the encore, they bust into I Woke Up in a Car. And what was really interesting to me about when they played I Woke Up in a Car is now, Jay, you may not know this, but this is a song they play, another one of those songs they play every single time that they play a live show, right? And I completely forgot about it. Like, I was like, oh, what are they going to play? They're probably going to play La La La. That would make sense to end the show. But I completely forgot about I Woke Up in a Car. So that was a nice surprise because just like a lot of songs I mentioned, I was just excited to hear that one again. I love hearing that every time. So another energetic song. It's kind of like that good combination, the way they play it now of the rock, the hard rockin' song, but also like the pop sensibilities that you need to get everybody into it. And then they ended with La La La. And what happened when they played La La La? What?
One person and I think 6 other people he got to invite. The highest bidder got to go up and invite 6 other people. I don't remember what the guy really said about himself, but I do remember he brought up a friend who was a kindergarten teacher, and I was listening to that.
What was the most emotional thing about that was that the man who either bid the money or his friend, one of them, his mother has cancer or has had cancer, and Andrew said, "How's she doing?" And he said, "She's surviving." If I caught that correctly, that's what I heard, and that was a pretty emotional moment. Like, it kind of made me choke up, to be honest. Andrew gave him a hug, and I mean, don't get me wrong, they had very high spirits. They were dancing on stage. They looked like they were having a blast. I wish I was a friend of those two guys, and I could have gone up there. That would have been really
cool to watch. I would have definitely watched that part.
Wouldn't that have been funny if you were watching the TV screen and suddenly you saw me up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe one day, but not this time.
Yeah, I mean, the way I've seen you dance here.
Yeah, that would be an ugly sight. I know. I know. But it was, like I said, the spirits were up, though. William Beckett came on the stage and finished the song with them when the guests came on stage. It looked like he was enjoying it as much as the fans. It looks like William Beckett is a fan, which I fully believe.
Yeah, definitely.
They finished out the song, and then in that time, I don't know if it was before the song or after the song or during the song, that's when he announced that they raised over $250,000, meeting the goal of the Dear Jack Foundation $250K challenge.
253,000.
What I've heard since, and I haven't seen any final number, but apparently there was other things like merchandise to calculate into that number, and so that wasn't
even.
They
probably made like $1,000 on merchandise because I saw like hundreds of people go up there, like one by one.
We got to hang out with a few other Andrew fans that we've met throughout the years out in line, which I forgot to mention earlier. So that was cool. So at least while we were freezing cold and you were watching YouTube, your mom and I got to talk to some other fans that we knew, so have met over the years. But I mention that now because it made me remember, because after the concert, I ran into a couple other Andrew fans that, again, I've met either through the Facebook fan group or through the podcast itself. Or just at the shows, so we were able to kind of connect with a few people real quick, just say our goodbyes. But we left there pretty quick as a family because, let's face it, it was after 11 o'clock at night, which in our brains, because of the time change and changing time zones, it felt like it was like 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So we were done. Plus, we'd been outside all day, and we wanted to enjoy the next 2 days in Chicago. I don't think I've ever in my life been able to leave a concert and walk back to my hotel 1 block away. That was pretty amazing. I love not having to get in the car, get in traffic, drive away, or even in an Uber or anything. It was just like there was bed. It was not far away.
Like, it would be like walking to like your to like your neighbor's house, like a couple houses away, and then but in like extreme cold, and then you just went up an elevator and you went to sleep.
I did find out that Andrew did say hi to some fans after the show, so I did miss that, but I'm okay with it because you know what? We had an excellent time with our family, going to our first concert as a family together, and hopefully there'll be more in the future, maybe down the road. It was just a really special experience that was different than any other Andrew show that I've been able to go to. So I'm really glad I got to share that with you and your sister and share this music that your mom and I love so much. So thank you for coming with me, and thanks for being on the show today.
You're welcome.
This was a lot of fun. I'm hoping there's going to be a tour next summer because there's rumblings, of course. We've all heard the rumors of a new album coming sometime in the spring. We're hoping for a tour to follow that up, either late spring or the summer. And I'll be there if there's an Ohio show or somewhere around there. We'll be there. So look forward to seeing everybody again. It's so cool just to go to these shows and just feel like several people out in the crowd. Even if you don't stand next to them during the concert, it feels familiar. It feels like going someplace where you know others that kind of have some really important things in common with you. So I appreciate that Andrew is able to bring these wonderful types of people all together in one place where we can sing and we can dance and we can enjoy music and just kind of connect. And Jay, is there anything you want to say before we wrap up?
No, but I think that if he did an outside concert, then I would probably go to one of those. Just the House of Blues was a little crowded. I also want to say that my sister fell asleep a lot of places in Chicago, like an architectural boat tour, and she
In
also...
a pizza restaurant?
Yeah, and a pizza restaurant. And she fell asleep at the concert, like the last 45 minutes of it. And so my mom was just randomly sitting there, and a really nice woman came up to us. And so you meet a lot of new people at concerts. So a really nice lady came up to us, and she offered my mom to offered to get my mom something. And she was really nice cuz she's also a mom. She has a little baby, and so she knew what it was like to be a mom and have a bunch of kids, just one laying on you, one trying to help with something.
Mm-hmm.
She knows what that's like. So you meet a lot of nice people at concerts.
Yep, that's a great example of some nice Andrew fans out there that you meet when you go to concerts. And definitely, if he does an outdoor concert, I think that would be a even better place because then we could just kind of sit on the lawn
and you can move
watch
around
it.
Too.
Yeah, and move around, which we weren't really able to do at the House of Blues. So, but it was a cool first time around. Andrew loves doing outdoor concerts, so
yeah,
I think there'll be some opportunities in the future.
Definitely.
All right, take care. Good night.